Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. We are here to discuss the Hindu analysis for 6th February 2024. Let us look at the articles that we have chosen to be covered in today's lecture. Number one, a murder of democracy, a mockery of purity of elections. Supreme Court's remarks on the conduct of Chandigarh mayoral polls. Let me tell you very clearly at the very beginning, this is only a remark yesterday was made by the Chief Justice of India on what had happened in Chandigarh mayoral elections. Now, the proceedings are going on. There would be many things which would come. But at this moment, I have chosen this article mainly for certain remarks made by Honorable Chief Justice of India, which I think we can remember for our answers for the mains wherever there is any question on transparency, electoral malpractices, on such topics. If you quote him, if you quote this, remarks, of course, judgment would also come in some time. It would be really, really good. So that is one or the first topic of the day. It will not take much time, but then we have to cover it. Second one, Myanmar civil war and India's interest. Now, if you remember a few days back, we had already talked about Myanmar. And yet, today also we are going to talk about civil war of Myanmar. We will see that within this civil war, there are many PNCs, permutations and combinations going on. And what India has to look is where and how it can protect and enhance its interests. So we will specifically talk about the Kaladan project also in this. The third, Quad summit more likely after US polls, envoy says. Now, again, this statement in itself is not that important. We will hardly see a few lines on this. But then we shall see within this article, there is a talk about Quad 1.0 and Quad 2.0. That is, during the UPA also, there was some talks, there was some movement when it comes to when it comes to Quad, and then when the NDA government had come, they had moved on the same thing. So we shall see what this article is telling about what had happened in the past and what is going on in the present. Because this is a statement by US envoy, slightly we shall see that how the US-India relations have been progressing and what's the future after the elections also as far as US-India relations are concerned. The fourth and the fifth topic, both of these I've taken from today's editorial page. First one is a critical view of the sanitation miracle in rural India. Personally, if you ask me, again, a lot of data is there which will make your answers beautiful if there is any question on sanitation, on Swachh Bharat and all such questions. In this, we will see a lot of positives and as you can see, a critical view. Not a lot of criticism has been done, but only few points have been pointed out that these are the things that the government can look into when they are planning for the future. At the same time, it also talks about the behavioral changes in rural India. That is, just having a toilet or just having a structure for the toilet does not mean that the people would be going over there. Besides that also, there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind. For example, in this article, there is a reference to a district, Dahod of Gujarat. There they mention toilets are there, but the water, there is a big difficulty in having the water. So people are not using the toilets. So such examples are given. I personally found this article to be a very good article, specifically from the viewpoint of social issues, paper 2. Similarly, an Uttar Pradesh model to tackle malnutrition. Again, I personally found this article to be good in the sense that it helps you getting some examples for self-help groups. Along with this, it helps us getting some information about the efforts being done by the state governments for women empowerment. And of course, you will find that in these initiatives, the government is tackling the serious issue of malnutrition also. So this is another good article which enhances our knowledge and will definitely help us in writing good answers when it comes to mains. Remember, and I always say, when it comes to the mains, knowledge is one thing, and then the second part is the structure or the presentation of the answer. But the structure of the presentation, on which the students keep on talking a lot, only comes when you have the content for the answer. Where do you get the content? Thanks to these articles. So I hope you will enjoy these 5 main topics today. And then there are 2 smaller topics. Just give me a second. These are for the prelims by its Maldivian President Muizzu vows to boost defenses. Trust me, my feeling is that Muizzu has become much more important than even Biden. I do not talk about Biden as much as I have been talking about the Maldivian president. Every day there is something that keeps on coming, and mostly this topic, everything is discussed with, in this classes. Only one extra point we'll get in the article, which I have to tell you. Apart from that, the unusual cabbage mutation that could boost crop yield. Now, this is the topic of science, and trust me, only UPSC can make you study about cabbage in the morning. I don't like to eat cabbage, and here I'm studying about cabbage, and here we shall see a lot of important information with regards to biotechnology. Trust me, I was referring to this article to the Science and Tech faculty, and he said these are the things that are much deeper, very, very deep. And this is a very, very important article from the perspective of science and tech. So if you have not studied biotechnology, go back and do study biotech today. Very, very important topic for your science, or from the perspective of science. So that was the basic introduction of the today's lecture. Let us begin with the first one. The first article is, which I have said, transparency, accountability. You can quote any of this, judiciary, anything. As you can see, Chandigarh poll incident, mockery of democracy. Now, in itself, we don't have to remember about the Chandigarh poll, but let me tell you, there were 36 councillors. 16 were from BJP and 20 were from the India bloc. India bloc, basically Aam Aadmi Party and Congress. Normally, everybody would think that this bloc should have won because they have the bigger numbers. But when the elections happened, 8 of the votes were cancelled. And thus, the BJP candidate won with the margin of 16:12. Now, the entire this process of voting had been videographed. And when this incident happened that the India bloc candidate had lost, they approached the Supreme Court. And yesterday in Supreme Court, our Honorable Chief Justice of India, he made certain observations. Please understand why I am asking you to remember this. I personally found this line very, very important. Mug it up. Any question on elections, if there is a question on, let's say, recently the government had made changes with regards to how the chief election commissioners and the election commissioners would be selected, on any of these things, your conclusion of your answer can be this. Look at the statement. The great stabilizing force in the country is the purity of the election process. Of course, you don't have to remember here because this is with regards to this election. What is happening here? Trust me. I always feel proud when we talk about our country, and one of the things right from 1952 to be proud or to be being pride or having pride in my country is the fact that the election process that we adopted. Our first chief election commissioner was Mr. Sukumar Sen. At that moment, the world had questioned that India, with such a big amount of illiterate population, will it be able to get literacy, or will it be able to, have these elections in the smoothest manner? We showed it to them. Trust me, in the last almost if I take 75 years only, one thing has happened in India. We have whichever party, if they lost the elections, they have handed it over to the other side. 77, Congress lost for the first time. Janata Party came to the power. Within 2.5 years, Janata Party lost. Congress again came to power. In 2004, BJP lost the power. Congress-led UPA came to power. 2014, UPA lost the power. NDA came to power. And this is not only for the center, it has happened in every stages. In the states also it has happened, everywhere it has happened. That's the beauty of our democracy. And when these things, the basic ideas of democracy are being hurt, whether it is being hurt at the lowest level, it's going to make the mockery of democracy. It's murdering democracy. That's the thing that is being raised by Supreme Court over here. For those who do not know, if you do not keep the sanctity of the elections preserved, wherever, at the highest levels also, look at the example of our neighbors. What happened in Pakistan in 1971? Mujibur Rahman had won, they did not give him the power. And Zulfikar Ali Bhutto tried to keep the power with him, in spite of losing the elections. So under no circumstance there should be any compromise when it comes to the purity of the elections. So personally, this article will keep on happening, will keep on going. Let the Supreme Court come up with its judgment. For the time being, just remember this quotation for your any answer, any conclusion of any answer on elections and everything. And do keep an eye on this also. I'll just give you slight more 2 minutes idea about this. I've already given you the idea. BJP had won the Chandigarh mayoral elections. But then how it won? 8 votes were disqualified. Aam Aadmi Party, their candidates, they approached the Supreme Court. And in the Supreme Court yesterday, a video was shown in the open courtroom where the returning officer was shown to be defacing the ballot papers as it was being videographed. So he was keep on looking at the camera also as a fugitive. This thing has been quoted as a murder of democracy by the Chief Justice of India, Mr. D.Y. Chandrachud. He was heading a 3-membered bench, and yesterday he has ordered that right now this elections where this side has won, they should not do anything. This new dispensation should not hold its budget meeting, which was going to happen tomorrow on 7th February. So clearly he has, not been pleased with this. For anyone who thinks why was this election process being videographed, this was on the orders of the High Court. Now allegations, remember these are allegations that the returning officer, RO, was an active member of BJP. And that's why the opposition is asking that there should be a re-election in this, and that should be done. Again, please understand, we should not allow whoever is doing, whichever side is doing, that should not be allowed. No party in power or no party without power, anyone should not be allowed to tamper with the elections. And let me come to one point very clearly. It's not that tampering of elections is something new. I remembered in the morning when I was reading this article, pre-EVM days, tampering used to be a lot common in elections. Booth capturing and such things used to happen. And in this, there was an article which came around 4-5 years ago. There was a mention of a person named Bhupat Singh. He was from Saurashtra. And in the first general elections of India, when India was preparing for the first general elections, he was being used by the princes of Saurashtra to do the election tampering, to basically make the people vote for him or vote for the princes. So this is something very old. In different forms it has happened, but we as the citizens of India, we have to stop this. We should not allow this, and of course Supreme Court, the custodian, is looking into this. That's your first article for the day. Coming to the second article. Again, this is the big topic of the day, Myanmar's civil war and India's interest. And you can see this is related to international relations. I'll explain this, all these 4 points, and you can see there is a map given and there is a table given in this. So let me show you one thing. I've taken this map and I've taken this table also under the India's stake point. So I'll clarify both these things. Give me some time for this. Now, let me explain this. All of you, few days back also I said, one of the reasons why Myanmar is so much in news is that we are in February 2024. And exactly 3 years ago, in Myanmar, the military junta, they had removed Aung San Suu Kyi's government. Her government was removed. That was an elected government which was removed by military junta. Now you all know, they have kept her as an arrested person in house arrest, then in jails at different places. And military junta, they were hoping that whatever the resistance movement, people would definitely protest this. The junta was hoping that whatever this resistance movement would begin, it would come to an end in few months. So junta's hope was that whatever is the resistance of the common people, that would come to an end and they would do the things as they have been doing. Because again, Myanmar, our neighbor, the junta, that is the military, has been ruling there for more than 50 years. In sometimes, between here and there, they have brought the civilian governments, but more or less it has been in the hands of military. Now, come to 3 years later. What is happening right now? As I said, we are in February 2024. And what has been seen is that the opposition to junta means military rule. This is only getting increased. It has only become stronger. So the first question that comes to my mind is, who are these people who are opposing this military government? So they are, one, the ethnic armed organizations. The local tribals, they have formed their own organizations. They have got the arms, ammunitions, and they are fighting against the junta government. Plus, they have also formed one People's Defense Forces. So they are fighting against the military, and as I said, their resistance is only growing. They are becoming stronger with every day. Why I am saying they are becoming stronger? Because one of the part of this known as Arakan army, they captured Paletwa in Chin state. Now remember, Paletwa is in the Myanmar's western side, that is having borders with Bangladesh and India. Now you all should have some idea about Paletwa. If you do not have the idea, give me 1 second. Please see this map. If you see, I'll again explain this later, but hopefully you all can see this map from India as well, then Longtalai, Zorinpuri, and then you have a place called Paletwa, which is in Chin state. Chin state is in Myanmar. So you can all understand this is a very, very important point as far as the Kaladan project is concerned. So I'll come back to this again, and for those who have, who cannot understand this map, please understand it is very, very close to Bangladesh border, and here we are. So it is close to us also, it is close to Bangladesh also. So definitely repercussions would be there on the neighbors. I'll come back to this again, give me some time. Hopefully you all can understand the background where the conflict started, and 3 years later, how is the conflict going on? Now in this article, it says that within this conflict also, there is a conflict going on. If you all see, there is a, just a second. I wrote on this, I'll take this on the next slide. This topic, I wrote here, I'll write here, a conflict within a conflict. Let me cut this. I should not have written it here. Now, as I said, Paletwa has fallen. But then its fall has created some issues for the people who are opposing the Myanmari military. Why? Because, as I said, there are many ethnic groups. One is Chin and another is Arakan. Now the problem here is that Paletwa, majority of the people are the Chin ethnic community people, and they always see Paletwa as a part of their homeland. Now just coming back, please see here who has won the Paletwa. It is the Arakan army which has won it. So let's see the other side. The other side, that is this side, they feel that Paletwa is a part of Rakhine state, which was earlier known as Arakan. So the other ethnic group feels that this is their part. On the other side, the Chins believe that this is their part. Already prior to the fights between the Janta and the opposition, Chin organizations had a lot of issue with Arakan army, operating in these areas. So you can understand there is a conflict going on within a conflict. This conflict is between Myanmar's Janta versus the ethnic groups, and within this conflict there is conflict between the ethnic groups also. Now as all these ethnic groups are presently united, so nobody is basically raising these respective issues. No one is raising these because they are presently fighting against Myanmar. Am I clear? But then, as you all saw, its location is very, very critical. Why is it very critical? Because I showed you on the map that this is basically a commercial town on Kaladan River. So any group which controls it, any group which has control over it, will definitely have benefits because of its economic activities. Whichever group, whether the Chins control it, whether the Arakans control it, anyone who is controlling it invariably would have a lot of benefits when it comes to, because there are a lot of economic activities over here. Now everyone, if you do not remember this, then also it is okay. But I had to explain this because for my next part, you have to understand it. I'll come to that part, but before that, let us look at exactly what is India's stake. I'll come to this map again, but mostly you must have studied, whenever you would have studied India-Myanmar relations, that our government was running a project here known as Kaladan Multimodal Transport Project. You can see here, everyone, this is that project. Multimodal transport project. So our northeast would be connected to Southeast Asia, that is Myanmar and all, through this. Kolkata would also be connected. Aswal would also be connected. Mizoram is being connected over here. Of course, it is being connected to Sitwe, and you can see Paletwa is here. So this connection will become basically a border, a gateway for the northeast, which at times appears to be completely landlocked. And it is landlocked. There is no doubt that Tripura or Mizoram, these states and entire northeast is landlocked. But if we give them some sort of opening through this, what happens is that there would be rapid growth, economic growth in this area. That's why the people of Mizoram were very, very happy when this project, just give me a second, when this project was launched in 2008. Now, some of you should have a very simple question that, sir, if this project is going on for the last more than 15 years, why has it not been completed? Because very clearly, let me tell you, there have been multiple delays when it comes to this project. And one of the reasons why there are multiple delays is because whatever is going on in Myanmar. See, again, I'm telling you, this is basically what is India's stake? What India hopes to get through this. As I said, this model or this program was launched because we felt that Northeast will have, or the government will be able to address the geo-economic as well as geopolitical challenges that are faced in Northeast. If we give them an opening through this side, because all of you have to understand, and in this article it is clearly written that because of the partition of the country, Bangladesh was, in those days Pakistan, the eastern side was partitioned. So because of the partition and later hardening of the borders, because even now we are very much, all the time worried about the trafficking of the animals. A lot of border issues keeps on happening even between India and Bangladesh. So there is a lot of hardening of borders that has happened. Because of these reasons, Northeast became a landlocked region. Now you all know, if today you have to supply anything to Northeast from the mainland India, let's say from Bengal, there is only one way, that is Siliguri corridor. You all know this is also known as chicken's neck, because when we talk about in the Northeast, here there is a very, very thin area through which Northeast is connected to our mainland India. So this corridor is expensive affair. Transporting the goods is always costly. Plus, in the worst scenario, if tomorrow we have a conflict with China, there is always a worry that this corridor would get affected. So under these circumstances, you all can understand what is the big thing, India, what is there for India. We always wanted that this corridor should be started, thus Northeast, the challenges that our government faces, they could be controlled. At the same time, our dependence on this narrow corridor of Northeast, that is your Siliguri corridor, that would also come down, and we can effectively, thwart this challenge that might come from China ever in future. So for this purpose, you all can see here, first of all, look at this map. There are two maps here, map 1 and map 2. Map 1 is the bigger map showing the countries here. India is here. I'll change the pen color. India is here. Bangladesh is here. Again, the northeast side you can see. And then you can see this particular model, how it is running till Myanmar. And now if you see here in the north, if you bring this small area on a bigger map, here is Paletwa, almost this place, very, very close to our borders, Myanmar, Bangladesh border, and very important town on this particular model. If you see here, Kaladan stretch, how it would be, it is written multi-model. So Kolkata to Sitwe, you all can see, this is via shipping. Sitwe is a port in Myanmar. From Sitwe to Paletwa, you can see this side. This is on the river Kaladan. So this would be island water transport. Then from Paletwa to the Indo-Myanmar border, it would be via road. And then border to our NH54 Langtolai, that is in India, it would again be through road. So if you cover this distance, this is how much? 600, 800, 810, 840, 890, 898, 907 kilometers. So overall, this project is encompassing this whole duration or length through road, through water. So that's why known as Kaladan Multi-Modal Transit Transport Project. Now some of you at this moment, if you are slightly also having one doubt that why are these multiple delays, again I'm referring, this is a lot of time because of the political instability in Myanmar. We started our topic with that. We know there are security challenges. You can just see there are fightings going on in these areas. Of course, the terrain is very, very cumbersome. And last but not the least, there are inadequate interdepartmental coordination. So because of all this, this project has not moved to the way it should have moved. So if anyone is having one thing in mind, that has this project moved nowhere? No, some movement has happened. That is, for example, in Sitwe port and the inland water terminal at Paletwa, these two have been already constructed. What is not constructed is mainly the roads that were expected to be constructed in Myanmar. So these roads have not been done, and that's why this is pending. Again, I'm saying, please remember, in Northeast it is connecting Mizoram, and they are very excited about this project because of the fact that if this project is expedited, a lot of economic activity would happen. Now, let's say, everyone, think about this. We just now said that Paletwa, you can see here, has been or has fallen, and the Arakan army has taken over it. So now the big question comes that if Paletwa is under the Arakan army, will it help in future? Will we get some help now? Let me tell you, that's not going to happen. Why? Because there is a perception. What is the perception? That Arakan army is not favorable to Kaladan project. There is a perception going on that they might not be completely happy with this particular project. Now again, question arises, why Why would they not be happy with this? Because in the past, it is said, I'll change the red pen, it might not be visible. It is said in the past, Indian army had coordinated with Myanmar army and had done certain operations against Arakan army. They were threatening this project and we had done some operations against this Arakan army. As recently as 2019, Arakan army had kidnapped 5 Indian workers who were working on this project. Though later all of them were released, one had died because of cardiac arrest. Now here comes, I hope you all are clear that even if Arakan army is taking over Palitwa, it's not going to be of much use for us. And thus comes into the picture our friend, please remember, sarcastic manner. Who is our friend? Everywhere they are. China. Now their story is very complicated. They are having friendship with Arakan army also, and they are having friendship with the Myanmar's Janta government also. Now you will say, how is this possible? Let me tell you. Now what is happening is that China, they have made a lot of investments in this area. And Arakan army is saying that we are going to protect your investments. Now, why is suddenly Arakan army so happy with the Chinese? Because apparently China had funded plus had given military equipments to Arakan army. Now, if you all add 2 plus 2, you all will get 5 in this case. China is helping through the military equipments and funding Arakan army, which is opposed to Kaladan project, because commentators, the political commentators are saying that China is not happy with India's connectivity projects. So China has been helping the Arakan army to make or bring India down. Now comes the question that if China is the friend of Arakan army, is China not a friend of military junta? Now let me clarify this. China is a friend of military government also. Please understand. China is having friendship with this also. China is having friendship with the military government also. Now how can I say they are having friendship with them? This I can say based on the Chinese economic, I would say the interferences. Their economic projects have continuously been increasing along the Myanmar's Bay of Bengal coast. They have oil and natural gas pipelines that they have constructed from Shui gas fields that are in Rakhine state, which goes to Yunnan in China. Similarly, they have done agreements to operate deep sea ports and SEZ at a place called Kyapeu, Kyau, KPYU. Along with this, they are constructing railway lines. So my only question that I'm not understanding is, how can China please both the sides? They are friends with Arakan army. They are also friends with military junta, and military junta and Arakan army are fighting here. So in this article, they are saying China can have this sort of friendship with both the sides because fact of the matter is that they are a permanent member of UN Security Council, and as such, many actors and many non-actors or non-state actors, they keep on needing their international support. So invariably, they keep on accommodating Chinese concerns, and that is how both the sides, they are keeping them happy. Let us wrap up this session with only one point, that Kaladan is something that is very, very important for us. We should get it executed, implemented as early as possible, along with the fact that Myanmar being our neighbor, and any disturbances in Myanmar invariably disturbs the entire eco framework of the Northeast. So that should also not be allowed. So as early as possible, if this is, the peace returns to Myanmar, it would be better. The best solution for us maybe would be the return of the democratic government of Aung San Suu Kyi. And of course, we have had, I would not say very close, but cordial relations with military junta also. And that is something that we would hope. Moving to the third topic of the day. The third topic is again international relations. Quad summit more likely after US polls. Which are the countries in the Quad? Australia, India, Japan and United States. These are the 4 countries. In Jaipur yesterday, the ambassador of US has said that US elections are going to happen in on November 5th, 2024. And only after that, there is expectation that there would be a summit of Quad. In this, there is a reference to Raisina conference. We shall see that. And of course, Quad 1.0 and Quad 2.0. What exactly are these? So, not a very lengthy topic, but then we should have some idea about this. First of all, do remember, 4 countries are members of this Quad. As I said, these 4 countries, according to the US administration, they will only meet after US elections for a Quad summit. Now, you all can understand, these elections are very, very important for Joe Biden, and that's why he cannot travel to Delhi, because he would be very busy with the elections. And if you all have some idea, you would know this is the reason Biden had declined the invitation to the Republic Day parade, because India had suggested that you come for this Republic Day parade, and then on 26th, 27th January, followed by that parade, you will also have the Quad summit. But then US has very clearly said that they are very, very busy, or they would be very busy with this, so they would not be going to be able to do this. Now, that's your point number 1 here. Now, coming to the Raisina conference. See, in this article, there is a mention about Raisina conference. I just want you to remember, and I'll change the pen color here. That who conducts this Raisina conference? You can see here, Raisina conference organized by External Affairs Ministry, and along with them, Observer Research Foundation. Just remember that it is these 2 bodies who organize this Raisina conference. Let me change the pen color. You can see here it is mentioned. This year, from February 21 to 23, we are going to have this conference. So do remember about the Raisina conference, who is conducting them. This is a prelims bites that you should remember. Now, let me come to the last part of this. See, basically this announcement was yesterday done in Jaipur. There is a literature festival going on, and in that there were many people who were invited. In that, one of the invitees was Mr. Shyam Sharan. He was the Foreign Secretary of India from 2004 to 2007. And along with him, in the attendance yesterday was former PM of Australia, name being Malcolm Turnbull. 2 people were there in the attendance. these two people, they talked about the Quad engagement in the first time when it was happening between 2005 to 7, when it had come to an end, and again from 2017 it was restarted. So that's why I have put this as Quad 1.0 and I have put this as Quad 2.0. There were two phases of the Quad arrangement or talks. Now the thing is, at this session, Mr. Turnbull said that it was Australia which had, pulled out from this Quad in 2008. Mr. Shyam Saran, on the other hand, was saying that it was the Bush administration which had asked India not to move ahead on Quad. So basically, in the public perception, what is going on is that at that moment, it was India who had come out. And this was said around 2023 by even our present external minister, foreign minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar. He said that in 2007, one country had put pressure on the other and India had gone out. We had backed down. And he was trying to show that, see, now in 2017, we are not going under the pressure of anyone. Coming back to this point, all of you, why would the Bush administration not be keen on Quad in those days? So Mr. Shyam Saran says, I'm sorry, Mr. Shyam Saran is saying that there were two factors at that point. One, the US administration said that the Iran nuclear deal plus North Korea's 6-party talks were going on. And at this moment, when these two things were going on, US did not desire to annoy Beijing in 2006. So Mr. Shyam Saran is saying that these were the reasons that India had, gone back on this particular idea in those days. So this is something that you can keep in mind, that this was there. As far as Quad 2.0 is concerned, just give me a second. Please understand, this is very, very important, needs to be successful for a host of things like, space engagements or space projects, emerging technologies, maritime domain awareness, I would say humanitarian assistance in these regions. So for all these purposes, we need Quad 2.0 to be very, very successful. So that is the reason we are pushing on Quad 2.0 at this moment. Moving ahead. Page 8 for the topic of health, GS paper 2, a critical view of the sanitation miracle in rural India. Now, first of all, please see, the person who is writing this article is a professor in IRMA, Anand, Gujarat Institute of Rural Management. And personally, I found this topic to be very good in the sense that it is giving a lot of important points which we can use in our answers on the topics related to sanitation. So, this article is saying that excess of water as well as sanitation, you all might have studied, is the goal number 6 out of the 17 goals in the SDG, which were made by the UN, formulated by UN. SDG is Sustainable Development Goals. Now, Indian government, we have launched sanitation programs for a very long period of time. You all must be knowing about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. But before that also, if you look, we had a long history of sanitation programs. We launched highly subsidized central rural sanitation program as early as 1986. So this was the time of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. Then if I come to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in 1999, again total sanitation campaigns were started. Similarly, UPA government had also launched these campaigns, but we are more concerned, so I am directly coming to 2014 when Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was launched by the present government. And under this latest Swachh Bharat mission, Grameen was also launched to make India open defecation free by October 2019. This was the target. So this is the background in which there have been so many such plans which have been formulated by the successive governments. Now, as I said, we are more concerned with this particular article or this particular performance. So I'll be only quoting this article here, and if you see here, this is the information given by the Government of India. Government of India says that the sanitation coverage in our country has improved from 39% to 100% in 5 years. Clearly, it's a big success, and that's why government says because of this success, we launched phase 2 of the SBM Grameen. Now, under this, we want to make India from ODF to ODF plus in 2024-25. Now, what is ODF? Open defecation free. So, ODF plus, I'll tell you that the waste has to be processed also. So, I'll be telling you about what exactly is ODF plus. This is our next target. But then, here the writer is saying, already, according to government data, 85% of our villages have become ODF plus. So 85% villages have become this. Great. So now what do you want? Basically, the writer is saying all this is good, but then along with this, we should also look at behavioral changes. Means the author is trying to say that just because you have a toilet does not mean that people will automatically start using it. Toilet in itself is not the end of the use. That is, if you have built a toilet does not mean that you will automatically go and start using it. Under the behavioral changes, it is said that there are 59% of rural household, and this is according to NSSO survey. NSSO, the full form, National Sample Survey Office. They in their 69th round in 2012 they said that 59% of rural households did not have toilet. That's one number which we just now saw, that 2014, 39% only had this. But here, the another point that the author is saying is that 4% of the people who had the toilet, they also did not use it. Now, this is the point that I'm trying to make, that just because you have made a toilet does not mean that everybody would start using it. So here comes the reason. Why are these people not using the toilets? According to the primary reasons, one is many a times infrastructure. I would not write infrastructure. In this case, I should write superstructure. Just give me a second. Eraser. Yeah. Just a second. Yellow. According to them, superstructure was missing. Superstructure means toilet is there, but then you also need that room. Otherwise, the privacy is not there. So, superstructure was missing in many cases. In other cases, facility was malfunctioning. So, around 22% they said this. Some people said it was unclean. 20% said it's unclean. And the fourth one said that there were personal reasons. Around 23% people said that there were personal reasons. You know, personal reasons can be, many people do not like that the toilet is within the household. So there is behavioral pattern that they do not want to use toilets. So for example, in personal reason, you can say social norms of purity. That's a big reason. This makes them not to use toilet. So overall, if you see these four big reasons, this is 80, 85, 86% of the people, they quoted these four reasons as why they were not using the toilets. Now, in this article only, they have pointed out to a survey. They say we surveyed 3 places. Which places? Bihar, Gujarat and Telangana. And this survey was done in 2018. In this survey, they were covering the best and the worst covered districts of these 3 states. Now, in this, 38% households in Bihar, 50% households in Gujarat, and 14% households in Telangana had at least one member who were not using the toilet. So please understand, they have the toilet access. Yet, in these states, if you look at the overall number, in Bihar, 59% had toilet, Gujarat had 66%, Telangana had 76%. And among those who had access, out of those 38%, 50% and 14%, they were not using, at least one member of the family was not using these toilets. Now, their reasons might be very different. For example, in this article, they mention that in their survey, what they found out was in Gujarat, specifically in Dahod district, why were the people not using the toilets? Because of the problem regarding lack of access of water. Water is not there, that's why they have not, or they have stopped using these toilets. We already said quality issues is also big problem. You know, superstructures, that is the, the room, the toilet room that might have been constructed. In Gujarat, many people, they said that these superstructures had collapsed. They have broken. Similarly, 50% of the people, they reported that the pits, they are now full. So these are the other complaints. And in many households, there is another thing that they have started to say, that they have got these rooms, toilets have been constructed, but they are now using these either for bathing purpose, bathing, or for washing purpose. If the toilets are not being used, they might be even being used as a storerooms where the goods or the articles are being stored by the people. So if you go through this article, there are so many such information that is given. I have given you a holistic view about this. Based on this, understand, we do not have to mug up a lot of data. It is almost impossible that we can remember everything about every article. But based on our requirements, for example, in sanitation, if I can remember 5-6 points, I'm more or less going to write a very good answer in my exam. So this you should try to do. See, there would be many reasons. If you will read this article, for example, toilet use is found to be very high in remote areas as well as backward villages if they have got the water excess. If you provide them water, they are invariably going to use it. If you are not giving them water, then it becomes very, very impossible for them to use it. In this article, they also talk about, for example, under the behavioral thing only, they say that access to toilet is highest for the upper caste, almost 97%, and lowest for scheduled caste, 95%. So you can see the upper caste, and this number is very close. So upper caste have got the highest penetration of the toilets, the scheduled caste has got the lowest. But behavioral thing, you all can be or would be very surprised to know that percentage of non-users is higher amongst the upper caste than the backward caste. So this is one thing that you can remember. So I personally felt important article, a lot of things that can be taken out. This is more than sufficient for your any topic on sanitation. Moving ahead, a similar type of article on the same page has come in editorial, an Uttar Pradesh model to tackle malnutrition. Now, the first thing whenever I read something, I read who has written it. Again, if you see, Manoj Kumar Singh is Agricultural Production Commissioner, Government of Uttar Pradesh. And Elizabeth Foray is the Country Director, United Nations World Food Programme, UNWFP in India. So clearly, one is, it's a joint collaboration of government plus UN, and they have brought this article. See, please understand, had it been only written by a government officer, I would have taken some points, but with a pinch of salt. We cannot be biased, towards one side of view. Whether because of the fact that this is written by two people, one is Mr. Singh and another is from UN, a lot of points can be taken out from this. Now, if you see, as you can see in the bold letters I have written, it will help you in health, hunger, SHG, even under the women empowerment, you can code this particular scheme. I'll be doing this here from this perspective. Now, please understand, what is the UP government doing? UP government is trying to have women empowerment and trying to tackle malnutrition also. Both the things, how are they trying to do? By the SHGs who are running some very, very small micro enterprises. Now, these SHGs which are functioning here, they are manufacturing fortified and nutritious food. Food which will give a lot of nutrition to pregnant or child, I would rather say breastfeeding women, plus to the children. How will that be happening? This is basically because the people would be given take home ration under the ICDS program. Anyone, before I say, can you in the comment section write what is the full form of ICDS program? Very old program. hopefully you would have written, or at least you would be having it in mind. So if you have that in mind, this is basically Integrated Child Development Services Program, ICDS program is being run, and this is being run by the Department of Women and Child Development plus UP State Rural Livelihood Mission. So under this, what happens is these micro enterprises have been formed. Every day they are, not every day, I would say rather, they have been given some equipments which are automated equipments. Now using these equipments, some 20-member women group, all having a capacity of 5 metric ton per day. So these machines have this capacity, and usually this 20-member group is there. So they started it on a pilot project at 2 places, Unnao and Fatehpur, in 2021. So again, everyone, which body is looking after this? This one. What they are trying to get? Fortified and nutritious food which can be taken as take-home ration. Who will make it? Equipments that have been provided to this 20-member women group with this particular capacity. Initially, 2 pilot program was run at 2 places by United Nations World Food Program. Now guys, once this was successful, once this pilot program was successful, what they did was they have now implemented it to 202 production units in 43 districts in merely 2 years. What it does now, it has given livelihood to 4,080 women, and these products are now reaching to 12 million ICDS beneficiaries. This much number, almost 1.2 crore women beneficiaries, or rather ICDS beneficiaries, they are getting this. So altogether 204 blocks in this many districts, 43 districts. So basically 204 SHG groups have been there. Now some of you might have questioned that how will they procure the raw material to make these items. So here again, the government provides them wheat at subsidized rates, and based on this, these items are manufactured. How does it help the women? I told you women empowerment is happening because on an average, all these women, they are earning 8,000 rupees per month as an additional extra income. Lastly, you all can understand these products, they are of very, very good quality because in this there has been inclusion of high quality milk powder, oil, vitamins. So all these things which are very, very nutritious have been included under this. Now who says it is nutritious? It's not me who is saying. Basically there is a national accreditation board, which is there for testing and calibration laboratories. So the laboratories that are accredited with them, they check and they give them the certificates, then only they are dispatched to the various Anganwadis. And based on the success that has been seen initially in 2 pilot projects, then in so many districts, there is a continuous demand for this particular good. Usually they would make items like moong dal khichdi, sweet and savory options like atta besan halwas, etc., barfi and all these products are being made. So this all is being done, and most of these, as you can understand, is ready to eat meal having color coded packing material. Color coding is done on the packaging so that there is information that whether it is helpful for the youth, infant, child bearing ladies or child feeding ladies, with all the information, manufacturing dates, batch numbers, everything, so that the food safety, hygiene, everything is kept in mind. So that's something that you can remember for this particular topic. Moving to the last two topics for the prelims. See, again, I told you at the very beginning, this man is dominating my everyday's proceedings. And yesterday he has announced the same thing, that our military would be moving out and all that thing. Now in this article, there is only one extra information. Let me, highlight this here. It's written over here. Even this place. What is this? Basically what had happened is, in 2019, their government had signed an MOU with India. Under this, we were to do hydrographic surveying of Maldives. Now when this is about to expire, they are saying they will not be reviewing it. Cut this. So under this hydrographic surveying, Maldives National Defense Force and Indian Navy, we both were doing a joint survey, and we have done 3 such surveys in the past. But now Muizzu is saying that they will stop these surveys. So just remember that this was also something between, bilateral relations between India and Maldives. That's the thing that were happening. Now they have said that they are going to stop this. All of you in the article, you can clearly see that surveying of the nation's 1192 coral islands were being done with the help of India. Muizzu yesterday did not take the name of India, but he clearly, without naming India, said he does not want to give a foreign nation the power to measure and map the Maldivian oceans and coastlines. So he is clearly, his anti-India plank with every day is becoming bigger and bigger. And I can only say this is a perfect example of one how can cause harm to oneself. The benefits of Maldives having a good cordial relations with India have always been bigger than anything, and I don't know anything which might have ever caused them any problems from India. But then that's his thinking. All the best to him, and let him continue like this, and Mr. Modi will see him that how we should, and Mr. S. Jaishankar will formulate the our external relations. Anyways, you saw in the budget, we have again increased the budgetary grants, the help that we are going to give to Maldives. So from our side, we'll continue to offer friendship. Let's see what they do. Last article for the day, and this I want you people to remember. You can see it's a very, very big article, and this is nothing but it is taught to you in biotechnology. In your general science, in biotechnology topic, you would be studying this. If you go through this, this is a topic on unusual cabbage mutation that could boost crop yield. So there is a lot of biotechnology here. They are talking about the DNAs and how all that is there. So if I ask you, I'll take 1 minute. Anyone, can you write in the comment section if you know the DNA molecule? It has got basically 2 strands, 1 and 2. And each strand is composed of 4 compounds. These 4 compounds are known as nucleotide bases. Anyone, can you name all those 4 compounds? There are 4 compounds that make these nucleotide bases. Can any one of you name all these 4 If you know, great. If you don't know, let me give you a hint. ACGT. In abbreviations, in that form, it is called ACGT. Hopefully, you would have written by now. A stands for adenine, C stands for cytosine, G stands for guanine, and T stands for thymine. So, A will make a chemical bond with T, which is known as hydrogen bond. Similarly, C will make alliance or bond with G. How you remember? ACGT. A, the farthest, will make a compound or bond, I would rather say, and the middle ones, they would be making one bond. So these four, make such bonds. And thus these bonds which are formed, they hold the DNA strands together. So many times you will find AT and CG. These are the two pairs that hold these bonds. So you can see I mentioned your nucleotide base. Now homework. Look at this and please in the comment box just tell me what exactly is heterosis. One line definition is there. This way you will read something on your own. Rest, most of the important articles for the day, 6-7 articles we have covered. Of course, the last thing, what are the important two mains related question here? One question I have given, SHGs are an important tool for women empowerment, comment 150 words. Second question, Myanmar is critical for security and development of Northeast India, critically analyze. So these are the two questions for your practice for the day. With that, we are done with today's session. I hope you like the session. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel if you have not done. Those who are my weekday students and those who are attending the regular live classes every day, I would like to see your names in the comment section so that in the evening when I'm taking your lesson, let me see how many of you attended today's lecture. That's all. Thank you. Goodbye.